Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. I am very excited to introduce a new series that we're going to launch on Greek Wine Club and Greekazon. It's a Greek winemaker series. I can't tell you how important this is, in my opinion, how interesting and amazing it's going to be. But before we get into any of that, let me introduce my co-host, Foti Stamos. Hi, Foti.
Yeah, so Ari, and I'm also equally excited to launch this new series. I think it's been way overdue that we finally get to bring to our platform the individuals behind the glass. And with us as well, we have our special friend, because he is special to us, Donnie Livanos of Diamond Wine Importers. Johnny, thank you for joining us and helping us put this together.
My pleasure. It's always a pleasure to talk about Greek wines, and especially when we have awesome guests like we do today. So do you want me to introduce Stelios?
Absolutely, yes.
All right, let's dive right into it.
All right, so with us today is Stellios Boutaris of Kir-Yianni Estate. He's joining us from Nausa, Greece. So you can see him in the beautiful background with the fantastic mountains in the back. Stelios, thanks for joining us today.
Hi guys. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for taking the time. It's an honor as well, because for me, as a big fan of yours, Stelios, I had mentioned to the guys prior to this, not to take up too much time, but when I started my professional career in the wine industry, the Greek wine industry, back in the mid-90s, your family and your winery was one of the first representations I had to display and showcase what Greece has to offer. And I've watched you and your family develop over the last 25 years, and it's been amazing to see where you started and where you are today. So thank you so much for that. It's finally a blessing to have you here with us as well.
Thank you, Foti. It's been a long ride, but
a good one, a good ride. I must say. I'm sure there's been a lot of work, a lot of pain, sacrifices, and so forth. But I think that the work that you've done, in my opinion, has literally paved the road into today's modern Greek wine culture, and it's helped reshape the image of Greek wines, specifically for us here in the U.S.
Yeah, I mean, I remember back in the 90s, after finishing school, in order to get some work experience, I spent 3 years in the States trying to sell Greek wine. So, I've been to many wine stores and restaurants at that time, completely different scene, not just for Greek wine, for all wine. But I still remember one guy in Florida where I tried to present him some Asyrtiko wine, and he's like, "Where are you from? Greece. You're selling wine. Why don't you go back home, boy?" I mean, I have to say this meeting at that time really stamped me and really gave me a lot of will and power to come back to this store. I don't know if this exists or not, to be honest. But
we have to find that guy and
yeah.
Yes.
but I gotta tell you, it's a Greek wine. Our family has definitely been very important in this renaissance, I would say. But the Greek wine has come a long way. If you go back 20, 25 years, the only wines you could find was like cheap Retinas or cheap 1.5 liters and diners and all that. Now we have varieties like Asyrtiko or Xinomavro or Moscofilero, Agioritiko, the St. George, that are established varieties. I think Asyrtiko from Santorini, but also from plant in other places in Greece, is really spearheading the way in putting Greek wine in the world wine map. The wines are much more modern, much more crisp, much more easier to enjoy, but very important also with their own character. Right. It's not Greece is not a country that's creating me too wines. We have our indigenous varieties that are really unique. And more and more wineries are working harder on them. And so I'm very optimistic that we're going to see a lot of things happening in the future as well.
Excellent.
Yeah, that's awesome, because Foti, Ari, and I are all Greek Americans. And as Greek Americans, we really love to share that pride and passion for Greek products. I feel like that's something that drives us as well. We always try to stay true to our roots. And, since I got started in the wine industry, 20 years ago, or less than that, actually, I feel like I've seen so much improvement in the wines in Greece. And my first, actually, that's funny to say, with kind of piggyback off what Foti said, one of the first wines I had, Greek wines, when I was working at Zeytinya, Jose Andres' restaurant in Washington, D.C., and they were pouring Ramnista by the glass. Right. And that's kind of what put me on my journey now to where I'm decided to dedicate myself to selling Greek wine with Diamond Wine Importers. So it's been awesome to really push and help advocate for products of Greece, especially the fantastic wines that are just getting better and better every year.
And Johnny, to your point, you just mentioned something, we use this 20-year mark, right? In 20 years, it seems like it's a long time, but in my opinion, the progression has happened so fast. The ability to actually jump on board and join the other leading regions of the world that produce fantastic wines, we're right there. We're right there, I think, with all of them. It's just a matter of creating that awareness that in the last 20 years, what we used to be, as Stelios had said, known for Retsina, Mavrodaphne, and bulk cheap wine, to now some of the most balanced, well-made wines that any country can offer for the market today. Can we let Stelios kind of give us a little bit of a timeline about how it all started for you, Stelios? With it,
I'm a fifth generation winemaker. The business started with my great grandfather. However, there's always a generation in between, so I consider myself the fifth generation. So, I always knew I was going to go in the wine business. Thank God the wine business is a great business. You cannot get bored, so I always knew I was going to join the business. First, after finishing school, as I said, I went to America to learn a little bit about the trade side of the business. And then I was very lucky because in 2004, my father, it was really my mother, really, right? She knew that it would be very difficult to have my father work and me working together, So he was actually very, very nice. And the day I told him, listen, I want to, I'm here and I want to run the business. I want to run the estate here. He just left, he just let me do what I wanted to do, allowing me to do my mistakes, allowing me to create new things. It really gave us a lot of confidence. And now I feel much, 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 much more better. The business has grown. New products have come. The styles of the wine have changed a little bit. We try to be more on the fruit side. My father was not that much on the fruit side. Would try to make micro cuvées, really, really studying Xinomavro, studying the grape varieties we have, studying Assyrtiko, and really trying to make the best out of it. My father was, of course, he was into quality and everything, but he wasn't into detail as much as I am, I think. And we already see some of these results happening. Also, what we did is that I focused a lot on the export markets. And, in the beginning, export is a very, very expensive sport, as we say in our business. You think you just make a phone call and you send a pallet of wine. It doesn't work this way. So you really have to go walk the market, as they say, and really, put a bag on your back, put 6 bottles of wine and just go from account to account to just taste wine. And you really work as an ambassador there. And an ambassador, not just for wine, but for Greece as well. We feel, and this is something that, I've been talking with a lot of other winemakers that we're very friendly, that, it's and we're very lucky that we have a prime minister these days in Greece. He's also very pro wine. He's a wine lover. Really, we see wine as one of the few products that you actually put on the table and says product of Greece. People can read it. You might have heard that 70-80% of all the extra virgin olive oil that's exported from Greece goes to Italy, bottled and sold as Italian. blended as well as Italian. With wine, this cannot happen. I mean, it's one of the very few products that you have it on the table and it says proud to be Greek. And this is something that's very important, I think, for Greek wine when we go out in the export markets and talk about it. See, what happened is that you had, and if I backtrack a little bit, you had the Greek wine renaissance started in the 90s. You had a lot of young winemakers coming. Half of these guys worked for my father at that time, right? And my father had always the idea that, we have to grow the pie, Okay, I'll get a big piece, but the more the merrier. The more wineries, the more people work in the same mentality, the better for everybody. And this is something that he practiced throughout his life, and this is something that I think touches me, of course, very much. And we see it happen. We see it happen. So you have all these winemakers,
advocates. You're creating advocates to help right. Teach people, educate people, spread the word, the gospel of Greece.
Right. So in the 90s, you have all these younger guys coming in and really doing a great job. And now they're mature and they have serious businesses, serious wineries. What has made a big difference the last few years in Greece is the fact that we are being much more focused into grape growing. If you go back, grape growing was something for the peasants. Now all the serious wineries own land, cultivate it, try to make the best fruit, because if you don't have good fruit, you cannot make quality wine. And we see that happening. I strongly believe that Greek whites at this point are some of the best value wines in the category between $15 and $25, right? They can compete with any country in the world. Sometimes, usually they beat them, And then with the reds, I think we're going to see much more coming in the next few years when vineyards are going to be like 25, 30 years old, and they're going to be starting giving this really ripe, great fruit.
If I can make a quick point, Stelios, on that thought about red wines, that, we seem to do better with our whites, yeses, than our reds. But that's because in the international market, especially in the US, red wine consumers were usually seeking a certain style of structure that was big and lots of fruit. But what I'm seeing is that the consumer palate is changing from that. There's a transition happening as we speak, where they're moving away from these big fruit bombed wines and moving over to more esoteric, balanced wines, where I think red wines from Greece are going to have that fit coming soon.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, I mean, Greece was never in the big Cabernet 15-degree wines, Now we have varieties like Xinomara, for example, or Limnona, or Aioritico. They can make wines that are much more elegant, much more food friendly. In Greece, we never had wine without food. Food was always on the table with wine. The trend of drinking wine without food started in America. Well, it's good for the wine business because it brought in new generations and new occasions of wine drinking. But in general, I think Greek wine is very food friendly. The high acidity level that usually wines have cuts right through the fat. The ripe tannins, but they're there, are also very good, complementary to food, and also the wines are not very high alcohol, very alcoholic. So I think absolutely the Greek wine is definitely riding this new trend.
Now, what was, if I can ask this question, you mentioned that you told your father that you want to take over and you want to run with this. Back in the mid to late 90s, what is it that you saw that probably others didn't see in your vision of what you wanted to create? What was it about this vision that you had where you are today?
Well, I have to say that I am ambitious, right? And I hated being on the all other category. I hated having friends coming back to Greece and saying, well, you know, I went to this restaurant, I found this Argentinian wine, I found this Lebanese wine. How come I cannot find a Greek wine? And you know what? I made it into my goal in life. You know, I will not, for me, I want to be part of the wine world. And I think Greece deserves this. Mm-hmm. And we're doing it. We're not there yet, right? But we're definitely on the right track. We're definitely into creating products that are competitive in pricing, our quality-wise are quite high, are consumer friendly. I mean, and not only for the weirdos, kind of, you know. I think it's very important that Greek wine has done it. And you know, I keep saying it. You know it. We're all Greeks here. Greeks don't like to work together very often. But again, this is one of the things that we did as Greek winemakers. We sat together in 2010. We worked on a strategic plan, and we set up some goals. And really, we started working together. And you know, we'd do a road show, and we'd be like 4 wineries together. This would never happen before. Or I would go and I would presenting my wines, but then I would take an agioritiko with me as well and say, okay, guys, this is Greece. You start with a Moscofilero, you go to Assyrtiko, then you go to agioritiko, then you go to Exnovro. You would show all of them. I would talk not about just Greek wine, my Kir-Yianni wine, but rather about all Greek wine. And this is not just me. I mean, it happened by a lot of people. And this created kind of a momentum that I see, and I'm very happy to see these days.
Excellent.
That's amazing to hear. I mean, I love to hear that there's a certain maturity and love and respect for what you do to be able to say, hey, it's not just me, it's all of us. The better for all of us, the better for me. Let's do this. And yeah. I appreciate and love listening to that story.
Because Greece, you know, we're a small country in Greece, but it's so diverse. It's such a rich diversity in terrain, geography, climate, and the indigenous varieties of Greece. So it's important, at least for me too. Like, I love to explain to people the diversity of the country, of the landscape, because that helps paint the picture, helps people understand what makes Greek wines and Greek products so special. It's because they're so diverse, and they have a rich history as well.
Mm-hmm. And that's the thing. We have more than 300 indigenous varieties. Of course, not all of them are made,
commercially, maybe, or
commercially. That was the word I was looking for. Thank you. But you know, here's Nausa. There's a mountain right behind me called Vermion. If you go up the mountain and down, it's only about 70 kilometers. What's that? 50 miles. You go to a completely different landscape. Nausa here, where the climate is Mediterranean, about 100 kilometers from the sea here, from the Aegean. So we have a nice Mediterranean climate, really nice mild winters, hot summers, not very hot though, because we have the mountain behind us, that during the night a nice breeze comes down and really makes a big difference. Now you go up there to Amindo, which is another really up and coming region. This is where my family comes from originally, up in Amindo there. And this is a region at 700 meters high, so already we're colder. The climate is semi-continental, so it means that it has like really cold winters. We had snow on April 14th. Wow. This year, you know.
They had a colder winter than us on the East Coast.
It was amazing. Well, it didn't last so long, right? I mean, if you go to Chicago, if you go to, it's different. but it was short. But we had real snow. So the climate is continental, really warm winters. But we have these 4 lakes there that temper the climate because of the big water mass there. So this is a completely different region. We have the same variety, Xinomavro, up here and there, producing completely different results. The Kaliriza, for example, or the Alpha estates, Xinomavros are much more spicy in a way. Here it's a little bit more heavier, you know, just because the soil is different and just because the land is different. There the soil is also very sandy. Here the soil is much more rich.
And in a lot of my presentations over the years, Stelios, I've identified you as the godfather of Xinomavro. And I truly have tasted plenty of Xinomavros from a lot of great producers that, and just to your point, you mentioned they're so different because of where their location is.
Right.
But Xinomavro, from what I understand, is a very challenging grape to cultivate and to also produce wine. And I think you've done an amazing job reaching to the point where your Xinomavro have been so elegant and wonderful to drink. I've tried to explain Xinomavro to our non-Greek friends over the years to try to explain to them what Xinomavro is. And obviously we tried to make a comparison, even though there's no justification, in my opinion, to compare Xinomavro with other varieties. But could you tell us, for our audience, quickly or briefly, what Xinomavro is?
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't say I'm the godfather. I would say my father is the big pope of
He's the
Xinomavro.
king. He's the king.
He's a king, right? Well, you know, and I dare to say that I have a love-hate relationship with Xinomavro. You know, from the one hand, it's what you know, put me through school and bring out the plate and on the dinner table every night and everything. Still, we haven't mastered it. It's very difficult to grow. It's very susceptible to disease. Can be very prolific in the vineyard. So you really have to make sure that you work very hard in the vineyard. And even if you work hard, then the harvest will come, or like 2 days of like so and so weather, and you might lose it all. So definitely, it's something we've been working on a lot. Also, I would say that at this today that there can be like two different schools, very similar to like Barolo, for example, because some people say that Xinomavro can taste like Nebbiolo. There's no similarity in the DNA or anything. You know, the big tannic, acidic, light in color, you know that. However, it's a completely different variety, and I think the nose structure is very very different as well. So there's that more traditional grape growers here and winemakers that make the more rustic style Xinomavro that need like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years to show the full potential. And, you know, they have, as I said, light in color, but the high acidity level will keep them alive for a long time. And if they have mastered the tannins will mellow out and make like fantastic Vin de Garde, you know, fantastic wines to be aged. Then you have the more modern in style that try to bring out more fruit, you know, less extraction. So a little bit more modern in style, a little bit more fruit, a bit darker in color. The tannins are still there, the character is still there. And so it's great to have this discussion, you know. I mean, I'm not saying that there's a good or bad. It's just that there is a discussion going on that actually, you know, especially now, so we get together very often with these guys and, you know, we share wines and we talk about it, you know. We're not into nuclear science, you know. I mean, we make wine, we enjoy it, and you know, we exchange what we do. And young guys, there's a new generation coming up now that are all quite good in what they're doing. You know, I also have I feel that I have the responsibility to help them as much as I do. Always, when press comes to Kir-Yianni, there's always a table with our wine. There's also a table with all the Xinomavros from the region. You know, so anyway, you know, Xinomavro is not. I backtrack a lot. Sorry, guys. Xinomavro is not an everyday variety. You know, it's not a variety that it's for your. You know, for these two girls, 20 years old, that just went out for a glass of wine. And, oh, let's have a ramista. You know, I mean, no, it doesn't work. Although from Amindo, the Xinomavro makes fantastic rosé, right? I mean, it's very versatile. So you can make a very nice rosé, beautiful, beautiful nose, all these like flowers and cherries, and but with good acidity that make it into a food wine as well, all the way to Vin de Garde, right? So he has a very big palette of different wines. We sell much more rosé than than Ramnista, for example. That's more like a food wine, like an old style Xinomavro to be put into aging and everything. So
And also,
you have the rosé, the more lighter in style, and then you have the big ones, right? The big ones, these are wines for wine lovers. You know, these are wines that you know, they go to the 0.1% of the people who know about wine. These are the people who then, you know, they like to drink different. They like to drink special stuff, and this is what's for them. I had a lot of Greek American, Greek Canadian, Greek Australian friends who just get a Ramnista, go to their Italian friend and say, "Forget about this Barolo. This is what we drink." So you know, it's a wine for a very special, for somebody who's knowledgeable, I would say, right? And then also for me, okay, I always drink food with drink wine with food. I mean, it needs a little bit something just to balance out the high acidity and the high tannin structure it has.
And then also, let's also mention that you make an amazing sparkling rosé from.
Right. Well, this is a project I'm very proud of. I gotta be honest, because you know, this is up in Amindo, and it's the only PDO, the only region recognized Europe by the European Union as well as a region that can make a wine with a PDO status to it. You know, sparkling wine in Greece was never. I mean, nobody drank it. You know, I mean, champagne we drank either in Mykonos or when somebody had his birthday and drink champagne with like a dry champagne with sweet in the end. I mean, so nobody. So I you know, traveling, and I've seen it in the States especially. I've seen the trend of sparkling wines. Mm-hmm. And you know, now sparkling wines is huge, right? I mean, it is growing. I think it's one of the very few categories in America as well that is growing. So we focus there. We spent like 3-4 years in trying to make the best out of it. And now with the sparkling rosé, we just like created a whole new category. There were one, the local co-op and us. Now there are more and more and more from many places in Greece. So I'm very proud that we created this little category there, which is number one seller in the States as well. Thanks to John.
I try my best.
Cheers.
Yeah, the Akaki Sparkling Rosé is delicious. I mean, it's such a crowd-pleasing wine. It's great for every kind of occasion. It's 12% alcohol, but it has, you have the complexity of the Xinomavro, but then you have that wonderful fruity finish that I think really makes it such like a refreshing wine that's perfect for also all year round. Not just, you know, some people always think rosés are for the summer or for the spring. I think it's a kind of wine you want to have all the time. It has such a beautiful color too. So when you pour it in a glass, it's a kind of wine that you'll never just sell one glass. You'll always sell at least two.
Right.
Someone will see it and they'll want one, and then they'll finish the whole bottle.
Thanks. You know, we've been very pleased to see, gentlemen, that to the Akaki Sparkling Rosé, a ton of orders with non-Greek names to these orders being shipped out.
Very, very happy to hear that.
Oh, excellent.
Well, I think like sparkling rosé, sorry, one last topic on that. I feel like sparkling rosé it's a unique category as far as winemaking goes in the world, because, you know, I think champagne is an area that people always recognize, but there isn't an area that I think dominates sparkling rosé, right? And I feel like as far as Greek wines go, you know, a sparkling rosé is such a unique wine that everyone loves and is attracted to, but there isn't a particular country that is known as well known for it. So it allows people to get introduced to a sparkling rosé and have a new varietal, Xinomavro, from Greece. So for me, I love it because it accomplishes a lot of different things, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, maybe this might be the opportunity for Greece to fulfill that category of.
Well, it's growing. It's growing a lot. It's growing a lot.
Another thing we want to make a point to our audience who are viewing this is the amazing and fantastic view behind you.
Yes.
You wake up
take a look
every morning.
Take a better look.
Yes. Amazing.
Okay, this is a vineyard here in Naus. I don't know if this is Naus up there. and this is Mount Vermion, and this is a vineyard here, and this is the winery here, and the new. Oh, now it's too much.
Wow.
And Stelios, what's being planted in those vines as we see?
Well, these are all like 50-year-old vines. These are all Xinomavro.
Xinomavro. Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. And this is a new tasting room. Let me show you here as well.
I'm glad you get to see people get to see this, because when I'm showing wine to people who've never had Greek wines before, they think of Greece as just an island, a country of islands and beaches. But as you can see, Greece is about 80% a mountainous country, and some of the best wineries are in the mountains. So it's really nice to see that.
Well, this is my great grandfather, the first generation.
Wow.
This is Aunt Gus, Theos Kostakis, the second generation. This is my grandfather, and this is an old label of Boutari.
Oh wow. So cool.
This is a new tasting room. John, you haven't been here?
No, I haven't seen the new tasting room.
Yeah,
It looks awesome.
Wow.
Here's the shop, small cellar door, and here's the tasting room. And I'm gonna have a kitchen there with a chef.
Oh,
and, looking forward to see you guys.
Well, I was just going to mention that we are going to put this into the works. Our next visit to Greece will definitely include being at your winery.
Absolutely.
This is so amazing. Every time we do one of these, I'm sure I'm not going to learn something new, but once again, I've learned so many new things. We appreciate so much your time. We appreciate what you do. And as always, I want to thank Foti and Johnny for bringing their knowledge and their connections to people such as yourself, Stelios. We appreciate it so much. We thank you. And yeah, go ahead, Foti.
Yeah, let's just quickly mention too that also we want to thank Stelios from all of us, as you mentioned, Ari. But for those that are viewing our segment on our Greek Winemaker series, hopefully this has changed your opinion and mind about whatever you had as an impression for Greek wine. But definitely visit our shopping, our e-commerce for all of Kir-Yianni Estates wines that are available. We ship across the country. Hopefully soon we can definitely have Stelios come back on an actual webinar with us where we can taste wines with Stelios and with Johnny, of course.
That'd be great.
You can invite Ted if you want to, but you guys. But any last minute thoughts before we wrap up this interview with you, Stelios? Anything in the pipeline that you have going on that you might want to mention to us?
Well, it's been a challenging year, but there's more to come. A big project now is in Santorini after taking over the Sigalas winery, which is a huge project there. Santorini is really on the top of the top of Greek wine. It's very challenging there because the tourist business the last year has been very difficult financially, but things are changing now. And lots of new projects. I mean, the most important is, talking about the sparkling before, we're working on a sparkling rosé and white method traditionnel, which is going to be very, very interesting as well. So more to come, guys, more to come.
Well,
thank you very much for having me. Thank you.
Thank you for being with us. Johnny, thank you very much as always. You're
my pleasure.
Ari, you want to take us out?
Yep. Thank you, everybody, for watching, for listening. We will have all the information everywhere this is, podcast, video. Get the apps, go to the websites, greekwineclub.co, greekazon.com, and much more to come with amazing people such as Stellios Boutaris. Stelios, thank you once again. We appreciate it so much.
Thank you, Ari. Thank you, Foti. Thank you, Johnny. All the best, guys.
All right. Stay well, everyone. Thank you.